Hi everybody, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. New schools, new norms in what seems to be an ever-changing picture. My name is Laura Sanchez, I'm Executive Principal at the Cedars Academy and Martin High School, and I'm joined this afternoon also by Roma Demeja, who's our Vice Principal, and we're going to talk to you a little bit about the things we've been doing for Year 6 transition. So we're part of the Lionheart Academies Trust. We're fortunate to be part of a large family of schools. One of the things we decided quite early on when COVID-19 happened was that we were going to have a trust promise around transition for Year 6 into 7, so that we work closely not only with our family of primary schools within the trust, but also our feeder schools within the local Leicester and Leicestershire area. Being part of a larger group has enabled us to create a consistent and coherent transition package. We're all passionate, as you can see, that any young person from any background deserves an equal chance to be successful in whatever they choose. We focus both on the academic and the holistic, using 4 R's as the cornerstones for outstanding learning within our trust. And hopefully you'll see from the transitions package we put together that the holistic and the academic were a focus. We had 4 driving values. Number 1, of course, being student wellbeing, making that academic jump from Year 6 into Year 7, helping parents with transition, as we know, often they find it more difficult than the children, and building community relationships. For us, that was also key. Student wellbeing has meant that transition leaders have had to work really closely with the primaries. Nothing I'm going to say to you is going to be rocket science this afternoon. We know that there is this common thread of loss that's going to run through all of our children. So we had to talk to our local schools to see what the needs of those learners were. Some of the things that we decided to do, for example, was create a virtual Sing Your Heart Out choir. This has involved Year 6, Year 7 and Year 6 and 7 teachers. The idea behind it was that then we would create a music video for the start of the year. We're going to talk a lot to learners about why we weren't all physically together, we were still virtually together. We've used Microsoft Teams to visit Year 6 classes and to have individual meetings with vulnerable learners and their parents. Although again, not physical, at least it's been face-to-face, but also secure. We've shared safeguarding resources across all of the schools in the trust. And if you look on our websites after this meeting, you'll see that there's been a large number of teaching resources also shared with a particular focus on wellbeing. Tutor teams have met, not just within the schools, but with, again, Year 6 teachers and our primary head teachers. And our Senkos have all placed a virtual presentation for their learners on our websites as well. To make the academic jump, we talked closely with some of our primary colleagues. We provided English, maths and science work on our websites and also into our trust primary classrooms. These have been emailed into our subject specialists and our subject directors, and individual pupils have had feedback via email on the work that they've provided. This has been really, really popular. We also, as a trust, have had Lionheart challenges and pupils who've been able to give information that's personal and pertinent to them to each of their tutors. So for the first years from primary into secondary, we think we've provided a comprehensive transitions package. The only thing that's missing has been a real life site tour, but pupils have met us, met their teachers and met each other in their tutor groups. And for us, that's been seminally important. Am I handing over to you now, Roma?
Yes, absolutely.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I'm going to hand over to my colleague Roma now, who's going to talk to you about how this was run through our marketing.
Hi everyone, my name is Roma Demeja. So like Laura said, I'm the Vice Principal for the Cedars Academy and within the Trust. I also oversee all marketing and kind of outreach programs that we do to reach out to forthcoming Year 6s whilst they make the decision to join us in Year 7. And do a lot of the social media work, etc., that goes on as well. So I think if I just go through some of the things that we've done and the different channels that we've used. So a normal kind of student and parent journey from March onwards would look like this. So students would be allocated their places on the 1st of March and they would join our secondary schools for a welcome event. So we would do an initial welcome event where we kind of remind them about the ethos of the school, what they can expect from that point onwards in terms of transition. We would introduce them to key members of staff. In April, we would normally do a registration event and also have a kind of pop-up uniform shop as well through our uniform supplier. In May, the transition leaders will go out to the different primaries, just make sure that they're familiar with key members of staff and gather any other information that they need to know about students who may be struggling academically or even emotionally, and kind of making sure that they form that link between primary and secondary. In June, we would then assign those tutor groups and make sure that parents and future students can meet their tutors. And then we would have the induction days. Obviously, this probably looks very similar to what you do in your individual schools, but we've not been able to do any of this. So I'll talk you through the kind of things that we've done using different online channels, etc., to be able to make up for that. So if we start off with the welcome event, some of our secondary schools had done their welcome event before lockdown, but how we, unsurprisingly, probably didn't have great turnout for some of them, or not, at least not all parents came, and some of them had not done their welcome evening. And so we decided to get all the secondary schools to do another welcome on Microsoft Teams. And what that allowed us to do is make sure that we could introduce the key members of staff to parents, and then we emailed this out. It's important to highlight at this point that when we initially got that list from the council, etc., we asked all of our future year sixes and their parents to let us know of a contact email address in the run-up to the lockdown, because we knew we'd have to go out and kind of reach out to them through other means than face-to-face. And so we're very lucky in that they provided their contact details, and we've been able to liaise with them since then. So initially we did our Microsoft Teams welcome events online, and we posted these on our transition pages on all of our secondary school sites. We then took our registration forms online also, and this did require some chasing. For schools where you might have parents where they have language barriers, we've talked parents through this on the phone. So it has required kind of administrative support as well. And in terms of uniform, we've been working with our supplier to make sure that they have a kind of return guarantee. They've been absolutely great in terms of contacting parents and talking parents through how to measure, their kids' arms, etc., to pick the right blazer, and they are providing a return guarantee as well should the uniform not fit in the new year. We have also supported the transition leads to do those team calls in the classrooms, and our SEN coordinator has also been doing those calls and tours, kind of virtual tours. Laura spoke briefly about not being able to do site tours. For a lot of our schools, they've been having a lot of building work. So what we've been doing is doing virtual tours, so filming virtual tours and talking to students about the changes that they can expect when they return. And that's been really well received, both from future year sevens, but also our current students. They've really enjoyed being kept in the loop about how their site is changing and what the changing expectations are when they return back on site. We've also done a lot of outreach work through social media. And so we've done a lot of tutor videos, so tutors introducing themselves. We really want our year sixes to feel part of the secondary school community that they're joining. So we've done a lot of tutor videos, and these have been posted on our websites, and I'll show you an example later. And so that people are familiar with who their tutor is going to be, and they have a face that they recognise when they join us in August, September. We created a hero's journey booklet. We recognised that our students were going through unprecedented times. They weren't joining the school under normal circumstances, and we wanted to kind of turn that around and make it a celebration, really, of them joining us, but being resilient. And so we really wanted to celebrate that resilience, and so we created a hero's journey booklet. And what the purpose of that is twofold, really. It's to tell them about the school, but also give them the opportunity to write about themselves and how they're feeling. And the idea is that when they come back in, we will share that with their tutors, so that the tutors are aware of how they've been feeling during lockdown. and then can support them. And we've done a range of social media campaigns, and they've been really nice and really good fun, actually, and I'll show you some examples in a minute. Like I said, we've been doing a load of online tours and online activities, and Laura's referred to them in that we've been doing Lionheart challenges, and we've also been setting maths, English, science challenges as well for students to complete that they've been getting feedback on. We've done a lot of parent email campaigns, and I'll show you some examples. I do really think it's really important to take the parents on a journey with us as well as the students. So simple things like email campaigns that have tick lists on them in terms of preparing their child for joining us in year 7, activities that they can do, virtual tours that go out to the parents as well, so where they can go in the school should they need support. The tutor videos have been just as valuable for the parents, and we've had some parent competitions, but also we've really used this opportunity to communicate our values and to encourage our parents to talk about those values at home. So we refer to the 4R, so to talk about resilience and use that language at home, talk about reflection, talk about reciprocity, etc., with their child at home. And we've been providing some support in terms of that, about how they can bring that up with their own child. So here's some examples of the materials that I spoke about. So over here, you've got an example of the tutors and the head of transition, student managers, and they've all produced a video so you can see the example. We host them on Vimeo when we make them private for the person who's got the link. You've got an example of one of our year 7 tutors singing a song for our year 6s joining us in year 7. Our head of behaviour and culture, school culture, has done a poem about not quitting and resilience and the importance of resilience. And then to celebrate that resilience, we've done our transition booklet, which is a hero's journey. And you can just go on to the Cedars Academy website if you'd like to see an example. I'm just giving you an example of one of our secondary schools. But if you click on the top kind of toolbar in terms of prospective students, you'll see a transition page, and you can download some of these. You're more than welcome to and have a look at them. Similarly with social media, like I said, we've been doing a whole host of competitions. We've been updating them on new builds that have been happening on the school site. So I know that a lot of the students are really excited about the new catering facilities and also our new science block that is opening in the new year. So we've been keeping them updated. What's been really nice is on some of the challenges. So we've had a bake-off, we've had Challenge of the Pets, we've had Battle of the Great Outdoors, and we've got students, including our future year 7s, posting about what they've been doing. And actually, it's been really nice to hear from the parents about how it's keeping them engaged during the lockdown and it's giving them things to do. But also what's been really nice is we've seen loads of parents open Twitter accounts for the first time and join us on Twitter. And this being the main reason why they do it. So that's been really nice and making them feel part of that school community. That's been invaluable, really. And we can see that when we look at registration numbers, etc. You know, they've been exceptionally high. We've not had to ask for details. We've not had to chase many students up. When we look at engagement data for our maths, English and science work, it's been exceptionally high. So again, we know that we're reaching out to these parents and these students in lots of different ways, and we're seeing the benefits of that. Some examples of email campaigns. So like I said, a tick list about uniform, PE kit, stationery, what to put in their school bag. You know, this is an example of a virtual tour around the school, some of our competitions, and we've been promoting those. If you're wondering what we use to email, we use something called MailChimp to email parents before they join the school. Once they join the school, we have a different email system and they can sign up to that. They can unsubscribe at any point. I don't think we've got any that have unsubscribed. They can unsubscribe at any point, and when we initially got their details, we did tell them that we'd be emailing them about school information, but they have the option to opt out at any point. Looking forward, I wish I had a crystal ball that would tell you what the future is going to look like, but we are looking at the recovery curriculum, and in terms of what that looks like for us, in terms of transition, we are doing a lot of work around motivation and reintegrating students back into school life and education. I think certainly for our year sixes into year sevens, they've missed a really valuable time. And I think they've missed the opportunity to say goodbye at primary school. We in Leicester, you know, some of our year sixes went back, and in Leicester, we've gone back into lockdown again. So they've almost had the opportunity to do it, and then that's been taken away from them. And we're really mindful of that. So well-being and motivation is going to play a really key part. And so we'll be having extended tutor times. We'll be watching a lot of materials around that, and we'll be working together in tutor time and in terms of our pastoral team and year heads as well, to make sure that our students feel as comfortable as possible when they come back in, that they feel part of this, the secondary school community, that they recognise that they have a lot of support. We also have a reciprocal reading programme, which has been launched in some of our secondary schools already and is being launched in the new year. And that is really to focus on the literacy. There is every possibility that our year sixes will not have used academic language for a long period of time. And therefore, they will be read to in tutor time to make sure that they are being exposed to kind of a really broad vocabulary, really, and they have the opportunity to ask questions and discuss language and to feel comfortable once they come back in. And that will be led by tutors, and we'll be making sure that there's a lot of training around that during inset. And then we are having a behaviour and routines induction, and I think that's really important, because those routines have gone out the window really since our students have been in lockdown. And so making sure that we give them the time to reintegrate themselves back into those routines, to ask questions, but also take the time to explain to them why we do things the way that we do, particularly given under these current circumstances. We're making sure that we're really building in the time to explain that to them when they come back in. And a big element of that is around community and behaving responsibly for our Cedars community and making them feel part of that. And so that, in a nutshell, really is what we have done to support our year sixes going into year seven as they join us in our secondary schools. You are more than welcome to ask us any questions if you'd like any particular examples. Me or Laura are happy to discuss those with you. If you contact us on, we can both be reached on the Cedars Academy email address. So you can contact us on schoolinquiries@thecedarsacademy.org.uk. If it's a question around the academic jump, you can address it to Laura. If it's a question around outreach and how we're engaging with parents and students, you can address it to myself. Or if you're not sure, just send your query in, and myself or Laura will answer those questions for you. I hope this has been informative, and I'd be happy to discuss any of this, like I said, offline with any of you, and I'm hoping that in the future we can share ideas as well. Thank you.